of US dollars 7.5 billion. Oman India Joint Investment Fund is a 50-50 joint venture between State Bank of India and State General Reserve Fund of Oman, the main sovereign wealth fund of Oman. It was set up in July 2010 as a special purpose vehicle to invest in India. OIJIF commenced its operations in 2011 with initial seed capital of US dollars 100 billion, which was fully invested across 7 Indian companies from diversified sectors. OIJIF has raised another US dollars 220 million for its tranche 2 and is being invested in India. Indian firms have invested heavily in Oman in various sectors like iron and steel, cement, fertilizers, textiles, cables, chemicals, automotive, etc. Indian financial institutions like SBI, Bank of Baroda, HDFC Limited, and ICICI Securities, as well as Indian PSUs like Air India Express, BEL, LIC, New India Insurance Company, TCIL, EIL, EPIL, and NBCC have presence in Oman. The US dollars 969 million Oman India fertilizer company in Sur, Oman, is a shining example of India-Oman partnership. I would also request His Excellency to enlighten us on the approach adopted by Omani government in containing the pandemic and its support to the Omani business and industry house in these very challenging times of COVID-19. The pandemic and consequent lockdowns have very badly hit various sectors, including MSME, hospitality, civil aviation, agriculture, and allied sector globally. To ease the pain and misery, the announcement of a bold economic relief package of US dollars 260 billion by the Honorable Prime Minister of India for the year 2020, totaling to 10% of India's GDP, is highly laudable. PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry has pledged to be the pillar of strength for building a self-reliant India based on the 5 pillars of economy, infrastructure, technology-driven system, vibrant democracy and demand laid down by Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. We are also happy to inform you that members of PhD have been generously contributing to the PM CARES Fund. We have contributed more than US dollars 68 million at present, which has rightly been acknowledged by the Honorable Prime Minister of India. PhD, along with its members, stakeholders, is committed to achieve the desired quantum jump in economic growth and build a world-class infrastructure, promoting a progressive technology-driven system. With these words, I would like to welcome His Excellency Mr. Manu Mahavar, Honorable Ambassador of India to Oman, and my fellow PhD comrades and delegates from Oman and India. We welcome you to this video conference and look forward to an enlightening afternoon. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Vice President, sir, for giving the broader prospect. Now I would request His Excellency Mr. Manu Mahavar ji to share his views and guide us. And before I invite him, I would like to give a brief about him. Mr. Manu Mahavar assumed the charge of the post Ambassador of India in Oman from 21st August 2018. He joined the Indian Foreign Service in 1996. He has served in diplomatic missions in Moscow and Geneva. At headquarters in the New Delhi, he has served as the desk officer for Nepal and director in Prime Minister's office during 2011-2014. He also headed the establishment division and UN political division in Ministry of External Affairs. Prior to his present assignment, he was head of the Americas division from October 15 to August 18, and presently he is holding the position as Ambassador of India to Sultanate of Oman. So over to our Excellency, please.
Thank you, Naveen ji. Thank you, Mr. Pradeep Multani, Vice President, PhD Chamber of Commerce, Secretary General Sri Saurabh Sane, our friends from Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry, ASEAN, ITRA, distinguished business representatives from India and Oman. Let me begin by thanking the PhD Chamber of Commerce for arranging this interaction. This is an excellent initiative to bring together business representatives from both sides to help understand the challenges of COVID as well as opportunities that would arise for improving, enhancing India-Oman economic relationship. And I'm also told that this is first in a series of interaction that will be organized. The embassy, me, as well as my colleagues will be happy to join you regularly in such interactions. Today also, we have with me my deputy, Rakesh Adlakha, as well as other officers of the economic and commercial wing of the embassy. Now, most of you are quite familiar with the breadth and depth of relationship between India and Oman, the very close and friendly relations that our two countries have. And there is a great degree of desire and commitment to further expand and strengthen. And this desire is there at the level of people-to-people context, but also at leadership level. And this resolve was recently reiterated when Prime Minister spoke to His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq on April 7th. The foundation for the relationship, as was mentioned by Pradeep, provided by, and therefore it's natural that we have a very wide. Am I audible? Is it?
I think there is some disturbance. Neeraj, kindly mute all, including yourself.
So I hope I'm audible enough. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Thank
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Pradeep ji, of course, presented in detail the current state of our economic engagement. He highlighted how extensive our trade contacts are, how extensive our investment contacts are. And we have been doing business for thousands of years. Over the years, the dynamics have changed. The types of commodities that we have been trading have changed. But throughout, we have remained very close economic partners. Pradeep ji gave the figures of number of joint ventures and the quantum of investments that have been made in each other's country. Let me just say that I have had opportunities to visit various parts of Oman and including various economic zones of Oman, and I can see that India is by far, the largest investor if you leave aside the oil and gas sector in key economic zones. In Sohar and Salala, the presence of India is quite visible. Now, COVID-19, of course, has been a big disruption for businesses all over the world, but every crisis also presents many opportunities. The COVID situation has shown the resilience of India-Oman economic partnership. India has proved to be a reliable supplier for Oman, to meet its requirement of essential commodities. In India, as Pradeep ji mentioned, COVID has led us to take a fresh look at the global economic scenario. Prime Minister underlined in G20 and NAM summits that we have to realize that the COVID has shown to the world the limitations of existing international system, which follows economic-centric agenda and not people-centric agenda. So Prime Minister has called for a new template of globalization based on fairness, equality, and humanity in the post-COVID. Further, to address the COVID crisis, the government has launched a series of measures which are aimed at achieving a self-reliant Atmanirbhar India. These measures, as I mentioned in some earlier interaction, also go far beyond the reforms that were undertaken in 1991, which were essentially delicensing and relaxation of controls. These reforms that measures that are being taken now cut across all sectors of Indian economy, and they will touch almost every facet of human life. So we really expect these reforms to give a boost to India's economy, help us move forward in our objective of becoming a self-reliant India, which is not an India that will be isolated, which is not an India which will be self-centered, but it is an India which will be more internationalist, because we recognize the importance of linking up with global capital and technology. Now, coming to impact of COVID-19 on Oman, and I'm sure our friends from Oman can speak more authoritatively on this aspect, but I will share with you the impression we have. First of all, I would like to acknowledge the swift action which the government of Oman has taken to address the COVID situation. They were quick, they were effective, they were well coordinated, and as a result, Oman is today the least affected country in the GCC, with only 8,000 cases, 8,500 cases, and less than 40 deaths. This is really a remarkable achievement. And I would like to compliment the government of Oman for their response to COVID. In fact, Oman has now entered a phase where curbs are being lifted and economic activities are going to resume. Economy is going to be opened up more. But like every other country in the world, Oman has also been impacted. Its economy cannot remain unaffected. And this impact got accentuated because of the fact that Oman relies a lot on oil and gas sector, and the oil prices have taken a big hit. The analysts say that the fiscal deficit will be higher, and further tourism and aviation sector, which are also big contributor to the economy, are also badly hit. This has caused some strain on the liquidity situation. At the same time, like India, government of Oman has also taken several measures to address the economic situation. It has taken measures to improve liquidity by lowering cash reserve ratio, increasing lending financing ratio, reducing the repo rate, and then the interest rate has been reduced of government treasury bills. And then they have taken measures to cut government expenditure to, for better fiscal management. It has also taken a series of measures to mitigate the hardship faced by the individual. Financial institutions have been asked to postpone or reschedule the repayment of loans of employees whose salaries stand reduced. Payments of utility bills have been deferred. So, by and large, the government has recognized the issues, taken measures to address the situation, and mitigate the impact for both industry and taking all this into account, I would say that despite severe impact of COVID all over the globe, including in Oman, there are some positives which we can visualize in the post-COVID scenario. I see many opportunities for India and Oman to strengthen their economic partnership in the post-COVID. The complementarities, I mean, there are many sectors where our countries have strong complementarity. India has what Oman needs, and Oman can offer what India needs. These complementarities will remain valid even in post-COVID. Further, I can say, these days we are engaged in organizing repatriation of those who want to return to India. I can say without revealing exact numbers that we don't see any massive mass exodus of workers from Oman, which means that there is still demand in the economy, and the impact is not as severe as people were predicting. So what I would like to do is to categorize these positives, opportunities into clusters, and I would put them under 3 clusters. The first cluster relates to areas where our current engagements are at a relatively low level or not institutionalized, and we can strengthen these engagements. And of course, this can be a long list, but I will mention few sectors. The first one is medical and healthcare. India's role as pharmacy of the world has come into sharper focus during the COVID crisis. Uh, we have a world-class pharmaceutical industry as well as quality healthcare service providers. So, closer partnership can enable Oman to have its own robust, cost-effective healthcare. So, I see opportunities for that. The second area pertains to food security. As I mentioned, even during COVID situation, we have to be a reliable supplier of essential commodities to Oman. And there is potential for us to collaborate in a more institutionalized fashion, going beyond mere export of commodities for Oman, to store it in Oman, to make Oman hub for the entire region, and so on and so forth. And these ideas have been under discussion, but we need to take them. Then, post-COVID, introduction of e-services will see a renewed push. And given our strength in the IT sector, I see opportunities for uh, India to partner with Oman in providing cost-effective solutions to government and private. The second cluster of opportunities, positive uh, developments relate to the measures that government of Oman is taking towards economic reforms and diversification. They want to reduce their dependence on oil and gas, and I think this will receive fresh impetus in the post-COVID situation. And they have identified priority sectors quite some time back: manufacturing, tourism, transport, logistics, mining, and fisheries. In each of these areas, I see more opportunities for Indian companies, Indian business to partner with Omani business. Uh, and then we also see that while Indian companies have already invested a lot in uh, free zones, in special economic zones, the economic zones are also offering fresh incentives to attract business in the post-COVID situation. For example, Kazan Economic City, which will cater to light industry, as I recall, has announced a set of initiatives, incentives, and facilities that include exemption from rental fee for the first year, then discount on rental fee in subsequent years, and then there is some discount on service fee. So essentially, registration fee also has been exempted. So these kind of measures have been announced by the Kazan Economic City. Madain, Oman's public establishment for industrial estate, has also announced reduction in fee for licensing itself. So you would see more measures being announced by Oman's, free zones, economic zones to attract more investment, and that will create opportunity. Third, we see efforts by government and private companies to raise money uh, by divestment, selling stakes, and therefore there is opportunity for again Indian companies to partner to buy stakes in some of these. I must also highlight that, and this was a development that happened before COVID hit us. Oman government has promulgated a new foreign capital investment law that allows 100% foreign ownership of companies. Until recently, you had to have an Omani partner unless you were working in some of the free zones. Now that requirement is no longer there. Then there were other laws that were introduced: commercial companies law, new privatization law, public-private partnership law, and bankruptcy law. So all these changes, legislative changes, reforms are expected to spur investment into Oman, drive economic growth, and generate employment. And I see uh, opportunities for India uh, in and Indian companies in setting up their businesses in Oman. Uh, Let me conclude by saying that the promotion of economic cooperation is the topmost priority for the embassy. Although we are quite preoccupied right now in supporting the community to deal with the aftermath of COVID situation, providing them with assistance, food and medical assistance where required, or arranging their return to India, we still remain quite focused on supporting the business cooperation between them. That has always been and that will remain top priority for the embassy. So we are with you always. Please reach out to us whenever you need some information on or some support. We will be there. So let me conclude by thanking the PhD Chamber for taking this initiative and organizing this interaction. Uh, I, of course, remain available to address, answer any questions that you may have. I wish you all a productive session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellency, for giving us the detailed information about the facilities and the possibilities and opportunities which are there between India and Oman. And as you rightly mentioned in the beginning, that this is the first in this series we want to do. And soon we will be coming with the exclusive sector-specific B2B under your guidance, and also working closely with our friends from Oman Chamber as well. So now I would like to invite our friends from Oman to listen from him that what are the facilities and the opportunities available. So I request His Excellency Mr. Reza Al Salah, who is the Vice Chairman of the Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Mr. Reza, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm glad to be part of this session. I hope you are hearing me now.
We can hear you.
Yes, so I'd like to thank all of you to giving me this opportunity to be in this session. Mr. Pardeep, the Vice President of PhD, he was very keen and he has explained the relation in details between Oman and India. And it's a fact that the relation which we have, it is not a matter of a day or two, it is a matter of ages. And we have very common culture, we have very common things, and we are having a lot of business trade since long time. And we still, our relation has been continuing, and I'm glad that the relation been day by day is increasing. Also due to also the relation, I would like to thank the ambassador. He also covered a lot of things which I was supposed to talk, but again, he was very clear the initiative of government which has been taken during this last few months. There is no doubt that every country has been affected due to COVID-19 and Oman is part of it. But let's thank God the initiative which has been taken by government of Oman during the last 2 months, and gradually it was, I believe it was successful, and we've been able to, we are still in the crisis, and we hope that we come out of it with less problems. The major initiative the government has taken is a partial lockdown. Okay, I mean, we were in partial lockdown, not in 100%, but in spite of that, the whole business sector in Oman has been affected very badly, especially the tourism sector. It is hello.
Yes, sir, we can hear you
Yes.
now. In between, it has gone.
Yes, yeah. And then the lockdown, which is taken partially, the health, this tourism has been affected, but all other sector has been affected also. So now the government has realized after 2 months that there has to be some compromising in opening the business sector gradually, which they have taken slowly by now. And every 2 weeks they are trying to open, and we hope that by end of the June we should be open in all sector, including that airline and other things. So by now still we are 50%, you can say it's open, 50% is still blocked, but let's hope that it will be overcome. Unfortunately, this crisis came also along with the oil crisis. It is affected more because the oil prices has been came down, and COVID came at the same time. So everybody has been suffering in this. Government has taken initiative by giving incentive, by giving postponing that payment due, like a taxation, like a amount due to the government, by giving the loan which is to be delayed in payment of the installment to the people, and many other incentives which has been given by Oman government. Now the topic is that what we supposed to do in a coming future. I mean, the future is very important. We should realize that COVID-19, okay, it might go, but we will be suffering a long time. It may continue 1 year, 2 years. Maybe there is another virus will come. We should realize how we can overcome this problem if it comes again. Oman, I believe, in future will need some more industry and to be depend other than oil. Okay, there's no doubt that there are when 5 sector has been announced, as His Excellency the Ambassador said, in to be encouraged. But beside this, I believe that there should be some food industry and health factories to be implemented, because we have found that during this time there was some shortage of in the medical equipment, medical facilities. So by encouraging that Omani businessmen to be and Indian businessmen to be invest in these sectors. Now, investment, foreign investment, now it is encouraged also by government. There is no need to have an Omani partner like before. Before it was about 70-30. Okay, now the government has opened it. So any investor from any places can invest 100%. There's no need of this one. And there is opportunity to be invest in this sector, which I believe. This is what I believe, most of the things which I think I covered. And I hope if anything else, I can answer it at later stage. Thank you very much. And thank you for all.
Thank you very much, His Excellency Mr. Reza Al Salah, for sharing your views with us. And we assure you from PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry that we will work together with the Chamber and we will try to come up with new ideas and we will work together on that part. Just to add on to this, I would request if we can have an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding between PhD Chamber and Oman Chamber. We will be suggesting you the draft MOU so that we can work together on those things.
It will be our pleasure and glad to work with you. We have been working with you in past, but it will be very nice that if we can sign MOU for coming future to enhance our business relation between both countries.
Thank you very much, sir. So now to have more insight about the Oman market, I would request Ms. Mora Hal Wahabi, the Director for ITRA, the Public Authority of Investment Promotion and Export Development. Ms. Howrah, please.
Thank you, Mr. Naveen. Your Excellency, Mr. Manu Mahavar, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for inviting ITRA to be part of this webinar. It is a pleasure to be here. My name is Hawra Al-Wahabi. I'm a Director of Investment in ITRA, and I will introduce ITRA shortly. First, I would like to offer you all a very warm welcome to Oman, of course, after the pandemic. Attracting and retaining inward investment is hugely important to our economic ambitions. We want Oman to be a place where business can grow, succeed, and thrive. And we want it to be a place where great ideas and innovations are turned into a great products and services. In fact, a key objective for ITRA is to bring to the attention of the international business community the vast investment opportunities Oman offers. Its exceptional potential in sectors including, but of course not limited to, manufacturing, tourism, fisheries, and logistics. Adding to this is the Sultanate's portfolio of new introduced business-friendly regulation covering foreign investment, public-private partnership, and commercial companies, something I strongly believe is set to be a major factor in bringing further investment to Oman. Oman is always proud to offer you certainly and stability, access to a flexible and well-educated workforce. We are proud to have eliminated unnecessary red tape and regulation. not to mention the outstanding support our government offers to business, our robust economy, economic development, and our regional and international free trade agreements. Oman, as you know, is the gateway to the Gulf, on the doorstep, not just of India, but also of a new, large, and affluent market across Asia and Africa. As you know, also, Oman is a great and reliable trading partner. But on top of that, our location means we are an exceptional springboard to a host of regional possibilities in logistics, tourism, technology, and manufacturing, areas where you are world leaders in quality and excellence. I'm here today actually to tell you that we welcome Indian interest and involvement in our investment projects, that we want to help you take advantage of the array of investment opportunities that Oman offers. In this regard, I encourage you to make contact with ITRA and to visit our investment platform, where you can find many investment opportunities and you can get a clear image about investment environment in Oman, www.investinoman.om. This is our investment platform where anyone can register and find all investment opportunities offered, but actually not limited to that, because you can invest in any area. Working together, we can seize on the investment for mutual growth and help support each other's business communities, especially in this pandemic and after the pandemic. It is in both our interest to strengthen commercial ties, to maximize the benefit of partnership and shared experience in a variety of fields. Finally, let me say how much I look forward to working with you all as we enhance our commercial and business ties and explore new business bonds in the near future. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hora, for giving us the detail about the investment opportunities which are available in Oman. And as I mentioned earlier, that we will definitely have a separate session altogether with ITRA on these things, so that we can discuss more in detail with the interested parties from India into that.
Sure, it would be our pleasure, actually.
Thank you very much once again. So now I would request Mr. Badr Al-Nabi, the Director Global Market for the Asayat Group, to talk more about the logistics sector and the opportunities and what all facilities are available. Dr. Badr Al-Nabi, please.
Thank you, Brother Naveen. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Your Excellency, Ambassador of India and Muscat, Your Excellency Rida. Thank you for having Asyad in this webinar. I am Badr Al-Nabi, the Global Markets and Business Development Director in Asyad. Asyad is a government fully owned company working on logistics, providing a comprehensive end-to-end logistics solution in terms of the port, to the free zones, to multi-land transport. Maybe some of you attended the webinar conducted last week. From Asyad point of view, we are operating the three main ports in Oman: Suhar Port, Duqm Port, and Salalah Port, with the global joint venture, very famous and reputed ports. With Suhar, we are JV with Rotterdam ports, in Salalah with AB Terminal, and in Duqm with Antwerp port. So we are welcoming the cooperation with the India business community. Actually, I'm leading the global markets team, where we are working on having trading corridors between Oman and specific countries, aiming to make Oman a distribution hub. For sure, India is one of these trading corridors, and we are working intensively starting from last November to have a dedicated trading corridor with India. Now we have a dedicated weekly, 2 times weekly direct lines through our national carrier Oman Shipping to Nava Shifa and Mundra ports. Alhamdulillah that they are now with full capacity, and there is demand to increase. Also, our trader now is in contact with different also Indian traders in India, and they are maximizing their shipments to, and thinking beyond to more of also transshipment and re-exporting to outside Oman. For sure, we will keep on touch much more to capitalize on this efforts and make business Oman business community in direct contact with India business community, also with help of ISRA and with help of Ministry of Commerce in Oman. Looking forward, and also the Embassy of India in Muscat. Looking forward for much more of let's say gatherings, or even online webinars. So this virtual meetings now is becoming more effective, and you know this is the fast way to get deals done. I'm very open with also my team to facilitate any leads from India, carrying them from starting registering their companies till anchoring their business, including also looking for local partner for them, or helping them in terms of some equities through the finance entities in Oman, welcoming to also provide them integrated logistics solutions in terms of sea to land to warehousing to also aviation activities. We are very contacted with our brothers in Oman Aviation Group to facilitate and to synergize also the cargo coming from sea to air, or the way around. So I'm available for any inquiries, and thank you again for giving us this opportunity. And inshallah, we will meet more face to face in coming maybe next visit to India.
Thank you very much, Mr. Badar, and I am sure we look forward to work with you together and see you soon in India. Welcome you to the PhD chamber. And I am sure there will be questions when we start the question answer session. There will be questions which we will request you to give your views on those parts. So now, sure, as we have heard from the our friends from Oman, now I would like to invite the people from India to share their views and ask what queries they have on that part. And as His Excellency also mentioned, and also Mr. Salah mentioned, that medical and healthcare is something which is very important sector between the two countries. So I would like to start with inviting Mr. Pradeep Multani ji, our Vice President, who himself is from the healthcare sector. So I would request if he can put in his views and ask certain queries if we have about the situation between trade between India and Oman. So Mr. Multani.
Thank you very much, Mr. Naveen said. It's been indeed a wonderful experience and thought-provoking to have heard our Honorable Ambassador and our friends from Oman. We from our hearts are very close, very, very, very close to you people. We look at you as our brothers and sisters, and the time has come when we all grow together and are independent from the, we are standing on our feet and yet we are independent. Talking about the healthcare center, our ambassador, His Excellency Mr. Manu Mahavar had mentioned rightly that in the medical and healthcare field, India is the pharmacy of the world. Undoubtedly, the best quality pharmaceuticals at most competitive rates, and with world, the international standards. That is the quality of medicines which are supplied from India. And we also have hospitals which are world class. According to us, there is absolutely no need to go to the to America or Europe or England or anywhere for medical treatment, because we have the same Indian highly experienced doctors are the doctors who are running things there, and whatever health issues are there, the Indian hospitals can treat that at rock bottom prices, maybe 10% of the prices, which is the bill of the Western countries. So if God forbid there's any healthcare issues, India is the best place to be. We again hope and pray no one falls sick. But yet, if ever need comes, India is the place to come. We would also like to share the experience what happened with this COVID-19. If you permit me, I'd like to call it China virus. This China virus has, China has given five sort of pandemics in the last 20 years. And now even this China virus, we will have to learn to live with it. We cannot be locked down in our houses. We have to get on with our businesses. We have to make sure that our economies, whichever beating we have taken because of lockout, because of lockdown, we move on. And the best way forward is again by seeing the example of set by China. The so-called advanced countries, America, Canada, England, Germany, Italy, they have failed miserably in this trying to control the COVID-19. They have had the worst case scenarios and the maximum deaths are of those countries. Here we have to learn from China, where they have used the traditional Chinese medicine, and they have been able to control this COVID-19 in a very effective way. We in India have the Ayush system. This is the traditional Indian medicine system. Ayush stands for Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Siddha, Homeopathy. And we do believe that even Oman has given recognition to our Ayurvedic system of medicine there. In Ayurveda and in this Ayush system, there are very, very effective immunity boosters. And today, the need of the hour is simply in this COVID-19 situation that we need to get back to work. We need to wear face masks. We need to have social distancing. We need to use sanitizers. And most important, we need to build our immunity drastically. And the best way for that is Ayurveda. Our Ministry of Ayush in the Government of India has issued an advisory for all the Indians possible that they should be taking the Ayurveda immunity boosters. Some of the really effective ones are something known as Giloy, Chavanprash, we have Ayush Quat, and these are being given to our population in a very big way. We have got clinical studies on these also, where we have seen that the immunity builds up drastically. Another thing which I'd like to, so I would strongly request our Omani counterparts to look into the strengths of the Ayurveda system and see how we can bring it to Oman and ensure the good health of the people of the good health of our brothers and sisters of Oman. We would also like to mention one thing, that in this package, which the 10% of GDP package, which has been given by our Honorable Prime Minister, 4,000 crores has been allocated to medicinal plants. Now, these are the same medicinal plants which are used in the Ayurveda system. Now, we have to double the farmers' income in India, and the only way of doing it is to shift our Indian farmers to medicinal plant cultivation. Our government feels, and rightly so, that this is very, very important, and we would encourage our brothers and sisters in Oman also to look into this scope for medicinal plant cultivation. We know there is a lot of, there may be agriculture may not be there in a big way, but medicinal plants can be cultivated in any environment, different ones. So we request you to look into that also. We from India would be very, very keen to partner with various companies there in Oman, where we can work together and ensure that our Omani brothers and sisters and we prosper together. Thank you very much. Naveen, back to you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think we will take the questions when we have, I think there will be certain questions from Oman people as well for this. So now coming to the next sector, I would say is tourism and civil aviation. So His Excellency, we have Mr. Nasir Jedi, who is the chairman for our International Affairs Committee for Gulf region. And he is also the part for the Pacific Travels, which he owns. And I invite Mr. Nasir Jedi to have his views on this, please.
Thank you, Naveen. I hope I'm audible. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Your Excellency, Mr. Manu Mahawar, Your Excellencies, Ms. Hora Al-Wahabi, Rida Al-Saleh, and Mr. Badr Al-Nabi, Mr. Multani, our Honorable Vice President, my colleagues from the Chamber of Commerce and this esteemed gathering, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak at this occasion. Well, as we all agree that COVID did lead us to some very tough times, and what we have learned in these tough times is the way to act remotely and the use of digitization. We did discuss, and His Excellency also mentioned the requirement for medical facilities and the exchanges where we need to cooperate in. Well, in these times, we have seen digitized way of consultation through all our important hospitals, and various setups have been created where we can approach various doctors and medical institutions online, along with our government initiative of Arogya Setu app. That's something very useful these days. So that definitely leads us to a very good area for educational exchanges, Your Excellencies. And I would like to emphasize that we in India are very keen on creating setups remotely and onshore, independently and through tie-ups with the Omani counterparts, which already exist in Oman. That can be a way, and where we can extend various technical and non-technical and professional education, which could be short-term or long-term on various certification levels. Secondly, while studying for Oman, I didn't know how to introduce India to Oman or Oman to India. It's so much of India and Oman in India. So the only scope which I could see that needs, that holds a large potential for development is between the exchange of youths. We have a brilliant youth population. We'll be world's largest youth population shortly, and reciprocated by Oman, which has a wonderful educated youth population, extremely friendly. So to promote this youth-to-youth population, we would request your attention towards developing various exchange programs where if we identify a youth of, let's say, 24 years and we get him to interact and introduce to the Indian counterparts and Indian to Omani counterparts, we are actually developing a relationship for at least 25 years, goal one. So that holds a tremendous potential. It could be in the field of culture, it could be in the field of professional expertise, education, or arts, performing and fine. Talking of tourism, Oman is closer than most of our domestic destinations. And as I just mentioned, Oman is more India than India in India. So it's our proximity to Oman and India's proximity to Oman gives us immense potential, and we see a big scope for introducing halal tourism and inward religious tourism in India and Oman. That holds an tremendous scope. There's a brilliant potential, and I'm sure post-COVID we are looking for some very good, important developments in this area. Secondly, sir, coming from the aviation and travel background, I think Muscat has been overburdened Though I can't use the word burden because they have come up with brilliant airport and one of my favorite facilities, airports available around the world is Muscat Airport. But still, if we look at the possibility of decentralizing Muscat Airport and developing sports like Salala and Dokam and various other ports where we can have a more better connectivity and a better movement of passengers in car. That could be a way for an effective distance. And I'm pleased to inform that me, along with my team, the Secretariat and my co-chair, we have been very closely working with the Omanese embassy in Delhi. We have hosted some important officials from Oman, and we have had meetings with the members of the diplomatic commission of Oman in India. And I, along with my team, are always keen and ready to help any of your officers to provide any scientific or professional study or approach or consultancy that we may require. And we look forward to some very great cooperation here. Thank you very much, sir. Naveenji, over from me now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zaidi. So now I would like to request Mr. Surinder Kalra, who is the co-chairman for the International Affairs Committee for Gulf from PhD Chamber, and he is the consultant on cross-border trade and investment, SK Kalra and Associates. So he will be talking mainly on the supply chain and blockchain technology. Mr. Kalra, please.
Good afternoon, His Excellency, and Salam Alaikum for my friends from Oman. Welcome to this webinar, and really thankful to the Secretariat for organizing this for the Gulf Committee. Now, without taking much of the time, I would take certain points from what our Excellency has said about the healthcare sector and what our Vice President has also said. Regarding we would like to certainly know a little further what even Mr. Redhe has also said about medical equipment and the healthcare sector. Regarding the allopathic medicines, India is no doubt called the pharmacy of the world, but on the contrary, we have to import almost 60% of the raw material from China. We are facing a lot of supply chain problems now, and if those could be certain alternatives could be developed and start manufacturing in Oman in the SEZ or somewhere there where the tax benefits and other things are available, and even local capital can be available, that would be a wonderful joint venture we can create, and backward linkages so that the supply chains are not affected, and we can have buyback arrangements also. Second is regarding the medical equipment. Also, we can set up factories there. But what are the regulations for FDA permissions and other things? Those guidelines you will have to share with us. Third is regarding what Mr. Badar was telling about the logistics sector. We have a specialization in the the high-level IT sector called blockchain and artificial intelligence. We would certainly like to look for certain opportunities in the seaports or the airports which have come up there. And I believe that all the three seaports are now functioning at more than 90% of their capacities. We would certainly like that we would take up some IT projects in, because His Excellency has also pointed out the government of Oman is quite keen to have IT sector joint ventures. Third is regarding with my own profession of chartered accountancy. There has been a lot of exodus of employees which were working in the almost all the GCC and Gulf countries, even Oman, and we are having our own accounting BPO, and we would certainly like to facilitate our Oman businessmen and the factories there. If they need any accounting or taxation facilities, we can provide on a BPO basis from India itself at much cheaper rates. And secondly, our IT facilities are also at much cheaper rates than what they would be getting from the European companies from France and Italy. Thank you very much.